Welcome back to Brew Double, everybody. Here we are, trapped under a ceiling. The only thing keeping Yuri from being crushed is the weight of our own body. Can we make it out in time? Find out right now. The two rescue workers then began removing the debris. Damn it! But the strength in Watasi's arms was fading quickly. It wouldn't surprise him if the weight of the debris won out any second now. Watasi looked into Yuri's eyes and spoke.
Na Yuri, 一つだけ俺の願いを聞いてくれるか。
願い？
俺に頑張れと言ってくれ。頼む。
隊長さん、頑張ってください。
Upon hearing those words, Watasi felt his body become filled with renewed strength. He mustered every ounce of strength he had and pushed up the debris. At that exact moment, part of the debris was removed and a light shone in on Yuri's face. It was then that June inserted the air jack into that opening. The debris was then lifted up into the air. Watasi and Yuri obeyed Kazami's orders and slipped out of the debris. Oh. That was a weight off my shoulders. Watasi flopped onto the floor as soon as he escaped the pile of debris. All of his bones were creaking and his muscles were shaking like crazy. Watasi turned towards Kazami's voice to find her and everyone else smiling. Hey, you know, flirt.
感服せざるを得ないな。ユーリ君が助かったのは隊長さんのおかげだ。
Watasi shook his head at that comment.
いや、俺一人の力じゃ無理だったさ。ユーリを助けることができたのはみんなのチームワークの賜物だよ。
Everyone smiled embarrassingly when Watasi said that.
ところで隊長さん、頭の後ろから血が出てるけど大丈夫？
Bleeding?
そういや、そうだったな。
ほら、こっちに背中を向けて。カイロンをつけてあげるわ。
Ina took out the medical ointment they'd found earlier, but then Yuri timidly spoke up.
それ、私にやらせてください。その傷、私のせいだから。そうね。ここはユーリさんにお願いするわ。ね、隊長さん。
It's fine with me.
あ、じゃあ頼むよ、ユーリ。
Yuri took the Chiron from Ina and walked around to Watasi's backside. She applied the ointment to her fingertips, then rubbed them against the wound on the back of Watasi's head. He could feel the gentle movements of her fingers. Before long, Yuri spoke up in surprise.
どうした？
I do? Oh my god, I'm getting old. God. My 20s are slipping away.
そうなのか。自分じゃ自分の頭は見えないから。
そうなんですよ。なんだかカササギの羽みたいです。
Okay.
カササギ？
鳥の名前です。一本だけ白い羽を持ってる、とっても賢い鳥なんですよ。
Interesting.
へえ。もしや俺の名字のカササギもそこから取られてるのかね。
Ina interjected at Watasi's light joke.
そんなわけないでしょうが。何適当なこと言ってんのよ。
なんだよ先生、ちょっとした冗談じゃないか。俺は有利を和ませようとしてだな。
あらそう？あなたタフで男前だけどジョークのセンスはいまいちみたいね。
My humor is fine.
厳しいな、相変わらず。
Yuri let out an amused laugh at that conversation. Watasi and Ina also smiled when they heard her laugh. Aww. Come to think of it, pretty sure that's the first time I ever heard Yuri laugh. Hanging in there really did pay off. Yuri finished applying the ointment to Watasi, then addressed everyone in the room. Whoops, sorry.
ありがとうございました。
いえいえ、本当にご無事で何よりでした。
Indeed.
そうだね。ここまで来て要救助者に何かあったんじゃ、あたしらレスキュー失格だもんね。
まったくだ。しかしまさか天井が崩れてくるとは思わないもんな。
Watasi sighed in exasperation and looked up at the collapsed ceiling. It was at that moment that he spotted something. No, more like his attention was drawn by it.
隊長、どうなさいましたか？
まさかまた崩れてきそうとか？
いや、思いついたんだ。あのゲートを開ける方法を。
え、本当に？
ああ、あれを使えばよかったんだよ。
Watasi was pointing at a crane hanging down from the
エ
ceiling.
ンジンカッターでゲートに切り込みを入れて、そこにクレーンを引っ掛け、無理やりこじ開ければ。
That's a good idea.
試してみる価値はありそうですね。でもあのクレーンちゃんと動くのかしら？
待ってくれ、僕が調べてみよう。
Kira ran alongside the wall and started operating a controller sitting.
動いた。使えるぞ。
それでは早速取り掛かりましょう。
エンジンカッターも持ってきたからちょうどよかったよ。
The group all nodded at each other, then headed over to the gate that was barring their way.
よし、まずは一丁切れ込みを入れてやりますか。みんな下がってて。
June started up the engine cutter, then ran its spinning blade into the gate. A flurry of sparks bathed her body. Tassi studied the gate to see that there was now indeed a small notch etched into the spot where June had cut.
上出来だ。あとはこの切れ目にクレーンを引っ掛けよう。おっさん、頼む。了解した。
Yukita nodded and started operating the crane again.
オーライオーライオーライ、はいストップです。
Kazami hooked the crane's hook into the recently carved notch.
みんな、念のため後ろに下がるんだ。
Tassi waited until everyone had complied, and then gave Yukita a hand signal. Yukita nodded again, then pressed the switch on the controller. The crane's chain rewound up to the ceiling, causing the hook to pull tight against the gate as it did. Tassi prayed as he observed the scene play out before him. Please work. Just then the gate started creaking in the blink of an eye. The notch then widened even further, and opened up to create an opening large enough for people to walk through it.
よし、完璧だ。
Alright.
やったよ。
The opening was big enough for even someone of Watasi's stature to fit through. They could vaguely see what appeared to be the lift's control panel through the darkness.
ね、これでもう安心よ。
How much do you want to bet something catastrophic is going to happen, which will cause this to not be the case?
どうやらうまくいったようだね。
ええ、すみませんでした、浮田さん。
いやー、何？ここから脱出できるなら何でもするさ。
Everyone's faces had brightened now that they could get through the gate that had been causing them so much grief. Tassi also found himself spontaneously break out into his smile. Let's see where we at on everybody. Okay, everyone's good. Thank God. Now we finally secured an escape route. It was true that they hadn't found all the survivors yet, but now they could at the very least get Ina, and Yukita out of there. Plus, this would mean they no longer have any problems with AD, and also could get backup from the rescue workers on the surface. Watasi breathed a sigh of relief, looked at his comrades' faces, and then spoke to
や
Yuki.
ったな、おっさん。
We did it, man!
ああ、まだ問題は多いが、とりあえずこれでよしとしよう。
そうだな。残りの要救助者の件もあるし。
A glooming look clouded Yukida's face. I see. So it's actually only going to get tougher for the old man after this. And with as large a crisis as meltdown happening in the workplace, Yukida and his fellow staff members would doubtlessly be forced to take some level of responsibility for it. Yukida had risked tooth and nail to escape this hell alive while being aware of the heavy responsibility. So the old man must have had his own worries this whole time. Watasi gave Yukida a thankful pat on the shoulder. He then looked at the others. They were all covered in soot and dust, but they were still smiling. It was all thanks to them that they were able to make this far without losing a single life. Well, yeah, I mean, we did die sometimes, but that doesn't matter. There'd been many a time where they'd almost given up, but they'd lost heart not even once. No matter how seemingly hopeless the situation, humans have the will to never give up and to keep moving forward, huh? It was the will to live that had welled up from the deepest parts of all of their hearts. It felt like the sole light of hope that shined through the despair. Hope isn't something as simple as an escape route or AD. Hope is the fact that all of us are comrades who fought to support each other through thick and thin. Watasi's heart warmed at that thought. He held back his surge of emotions and spoke up. I cannot talk today.
よし、そんじゃ脱出するか。
Let's get out of here.
じゃあ私が先に入って安全を確かめるよ。
頼みますよ、森部。
はい、任せて。
June went through the opening in high spirits as the others saw her off. However, not even a second later, June's scream pierced through the darkness on the other side.
森部、何事ですか？
The rest of the group gulped and went through the opening. The room they entered was about 9 square meters in size. There was a cargo lift for supplies big enough for people to fit lying on the other side of the room, just as the manual had said. June was standing in front of it, frozen like a statue.
森部、何があった？
June pointed to the side of the lift as she said that in a trembling voice. Oh no. Oh no. Lying there was the body of a girl.
誰なんだ、この子は。その、鳥羽真白って子か？
But Ina, her face as white as a sheet, answered quickly in a low voice.
違うわ。
何？じゃあ誰の？
Everyone just stared at the body of this girl who no one knew, who never even come up once until this point. A hole had been pierced through her stomach. Gunshot wound? The blood that poured out of it had already dried up into a dark color. She had undoubtedly been murdered. But when that happened was something that no one knew. And the bigger question was, why did someone kill this girl? The girl's face was completely expressionless. There wasn't a hint of fear or pain to be seen. She just stared at the floor with hollow eyes. Everyone was utterly dumbstruck. The room was now as silent as a tomb. It wasn't long before Yukida let out another surprised gasp. And so he staggered over to the panel. The lift's control panel that was lying next to the girl had been completely destroyed, as if someone had intentionally broken it. Yukida silently tried to work it, but nothing happened. Even after he pressed the switch, the lift didn't make a sound. Yukida didn't hit the panel what seemed like resignation, then shook his head. The still air filled the small room yet again.
どうして
It was Yuri who broke the silence.
どうしてこんなことに
Her voice, brimming with bewilderment and despair, echoed throughout the confined room. No one could answer her. Everyone just stood absolutely still, overcome with shock. Seems we're not out of the woods just yet. And with that, I'm going to end the video off here. I'll see you all next time.